What what do you see as like your favorite kind of girl?
Honestly, this is it's hard to say because I feel like every new girlfriend I get, there's always something different. So I really haven't found the type I'm into, but for the most part, I just really need someone who can really appreciate my sense of humor because I feel like if I'm always kind of joking around, and if she's not laughing, then it's just gonna go terrible. So she needs to appreciate get kind of my sense of humor, just kind of how how I'm about, and that's really all that matters to me. I, yeah, I've dated girls that are just almost stereotypical kind of they just go out and they look pretty, they don't. But then I date the gamer girl. But then I dated the girl with tattoos everywhere. So I had many types of flavors. I'm not sure which one I like best yet.
Absolutely. So, testing out like your character.
Yeah, you mean it's gonna take it's gonna take a while for me to figure out which one I like the best.
Was there, I guess, was there anyone in particular in your past that kind of affected you a lot, in your way that I guess sense of humor is a big thing for you. Um, but is there any in your mind a dream girl kind of?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely I have certain preferences
Yeah.
for what I'm looking for. Most of it just to be kind of I like for the person I'm trying interested in dating to have kind of be independent in the sense that it's not going to be adding I'll already have a relationship added on to my schedule, but I don't need to worry about a lot of other things. And other than that, it's just as long as I can communicate and there's some trust there, because if I'm not talking well with a girl and we're not communicating, then I feel like we both are in our head thinking oh, this is not going well, and it just drags on, and then eventually somebody ends it. So like usually I can tell in the first couple of weeks, if we're clicking, things are going well, and it keeps on going well, then usually I'm in there. Other times, I think I the first few nights I'm talking to a particular girl, I might think, oh yeah, this is working out nice, but the more I find out, the maybe the less I'm interested I am, or it could work vice versa. I mean, I'm human too. I can get rejected, I guess.
Even PC can get rejected.
I mean, I'm not the outgoing type to constantly be making moves. I usually kind of wait till someone approach me. It makes it a lot more manageable, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So it's always hard to break the ice. It's just so awkward. What can you possibly say to this stranger that's gonna make him feel like this guy's definitely not trying to hit on me right now? Nothing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just the other night, my friends in New York, this guy just he really wanted to talk to some girls, and he walks over and just hey, what's up? She's go away.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I just can't do that. One reason, there's an 85% chance it's not gonna work, and that's just not good odds. If you're a gambling man, you're not gonna take that.
Do you think you'd ever get married?
Oh yeah, eventually. I mean, it's something I definitely thought about, but you know, I feel like now as the older we're getting, it's a little more acceptable to be going to college late, getting married later. So that's something that I've thought about, but definitely not going to happen for a while. Until I'm very comfortable with my my job and where I am in my life, my status. Once I have that stuff down, then I'll be trying to move on from there, I guess.
Yeah. Do you think you'd have kids?
I mean, I want to. I honestly like kids. I mean, I hate when they cry, and they could be really annoying. But honestly, the few times I see myself act like a kid is when I'm playing with kids, and it's pretty fun. I used to have a camp counseling job for 3 to 4 year olds at a summer camp, and I would deal with these little kids. And at first I was I thought I was gonna hate it, but by the end of the summer, you realize how innocent, sweet these kids are, and you know, the they don't like the normal thought process like that I go through. Like these kids, like they just don't, they just want their animal crackers and like their ball, and it's honestly like I don't know, it's adorable.
Do you like see a lot any of yourself like when you are hanging out with kids? Like,
Yeah, I can see like definitely have like a youthful energy upon me. Even though I'm 24 now, I have a very young feeling, like kind of like kids like a little goofy, like always playing around, having fun. Like I feel like that, and when I'm with kids, it comes out more definitely.
yeah, yeah.
It's like accepted to do that with kids, so it's kind of gives me an excuse to kind of like act like a fool for a little while.
Nice, nice. With when you started to kind of get into you know, tournaments and stuff like that, and start traveling to places, did you have to like pack it in and go really far to like some of these tournaments, like when you started?
Yeah, my first like I went to an MLG in early 2006 that was in Washington D.C. I think I was 17, and I remember it was like kind of snowy that weekend, so my mom was really hesitant in letting me take a bus by myself to DC, especially as the first like tournament I'm going like kind of far away for. Like DC's only 4.5 hours, but like for me, I guess it was a big deal for her. But she let me go, and I went to the tournament. I did okay. Like I placed pretty well. Back then I didn't expect to do very well at all. So like I was happy with my placing. And then I went to more New York locals, and then I think it was I think I was telling you earlier about this Houston tournament. It's called Smash Extravaganza, and it was like a last minute thing. I decided to fly in there, and one of the reasons why I flied in there is because there's a smasher named is Neo. He actually like gave me confidence to win. He told me like he's like, "Yo man, you're so good. Like I don't know why you're scared. You're just scared of the name like of these people, but like little do you know like you're probably better than them. They've never played you." So like just hearing that, and like the fact that I'm already really motivated to try to like fly out more, I just on a whim bought this ticket. I ended up doing really well at the tournament. I got first place in teams, first place in singles, and second place in low tier. And I don't think I won a New York tournament even to that point. So this kind of was like, whoa, like I'm winning a big out of state tournament and I haven't won a local yet. So it was just like kind of jumping in there like right away. I got like a kind of big taste of like what was going to come later on. But like after that, like it was kind of like the start of like the PC Chris tour around the United States, where every weekend I was either staying local around New York, but if there was something bigger going on, I'd fly out to it because at the time I felt like if I place top three, I'll at worst break even for this tournament. So I was flying around to various places, Florida, Texas a bunch of times, California. I've been to I've been to Ohio a couple times, Minnesota. I mean, everywhere on the East Coast, but like that's a given.
And you during this time you're kind of like the buzz around you was starting to grow.
Yeah, like we like after beating Ken definitely, but before that even it was like there's this guy going around winning tournaments, but like the people who weren't from New York were like, nah, like he's a fraud, like he's just getting lucky. We'll see if he keeps on doing it. But the New York players like seem to support me a lot. Like they had my support. All DA was like great. All my friends always had my back, and even like my parents once I started pulling in some money, they definitely a lot more lenient with like, oh yeah, I can fly out, I'll be back, I might miss a day of school, but like as long as I got back, like that they were fine with it. Like as long as I wasn't like as long as I graduated high school, that's the way like they kind of thought of it as like if you can finish out high school, go to college, then you can do this thing while you're in high school. So everything seemed to pan out, and I was flying around everywhere, winning money, building new relationships with people, experiencing new places, new food. This is kind of like almost, like I look back and I can't even believe this happened to me because now I live such like, a normal life. I work 50 hours a week just to save up to move out, Whereas 5 years ago I was like younger, but I was traveling around everywhere. So definitely was a great experience for me. I felt like it shaped me as a person in general, being being exposed to so many different types of people, like having to deal with different types of pressure. Like if I'm going out of state, don't want me to win. Obviously, they want the home crowd guy to win. So like they'd kind of be my enemies for a little while, but then after tournament's over, and everyone has fun. It was probably if I can go back and change anything, I probably wouldn't change it, to be honest.
Was and when you were, I'm trying to remember now if FC3 came before the New York playoff. I think it did. It was like 2005 or something.
FC3.
The big crew battle between East Coast West
Oh
Coast,
yeah,
like the
yeah,
thing that was gonna settle everything.
yeah,
Um, was that like, cause up until that point, was there a lot of like trash talk and stuff, like who was better, East Coast West Coast?
yeah. It was. I feel like b- in like 2004 through like 2006, there was definitely like this East Coast versus West Coast rivalry, and it started off with like Asin and Wes, like kind of like being the East Coast Guardians, as they called it, which was also their team name. And they would like try to defend the turf versus like Isaiah and Ken, who were like the West Coast like hard hitters. So it seemed like the West Coast always had the number. They always had the better players, but we felt like New York and the East Coast in general, like Maryland and Virginia, had just so many like good solid players that like everyone was getting good. So we thought like crew battle would be the best thing to hype it up, because then we get like everyone from the West Coast, like the best players, and the East Coast, and we find out like who's really better. And when something like that happens, like there's already trash talking going on, but when something like that happens, like there's hype. Like the trash talk builds up, and like it was pretty scary to be a part of, honestly. Like especially like back then, I wasn't necessarily as confident as it going to a crew battle as I would be now, because like representing your whole crew, like I've done a few times now. Like probably I'm like 10, honestly. So I'm not like, it doesn't phase me as much, but like that first one, like just representing your whole coast, like all good players got your back versus like the other coast, with everyone cheering for their respective coasts. It gets really intense at times. So I kind of feel like crew battles are kind of like the X factor in tournaments. Like I might not like, people go to tournaments and they might be really disappointed at how they place, but then like you have the crew battle and it's like, all right, let's come together as a team and win it for our crew. And then like it doesn't matter how you place at the tournament. Like yeah, I'll still be upset if I didn't do good, but like if our crew like came together and we beat the West Coast, then like that was something to be proud about.
And like that, especially like that, in footage of it, you can see it was there's a lot of kind of trash talk going along. At least it seemed like the East Coast kind of had more of.
Yeah, I mean that's shout out to the Deadly Alliance. That's why I'm I like to say that I'm like anti like shit talk proof, I guess, trash talk. Sorry, because when I first started getting good, like the DA would be they'd be cheering against me, because like if I'm fighting Wes or something, obviously they're cheering for Wes. So like right from the start, I had to deal with like just people like screaming, hyping up matches, and like bigger than they should have been hyped up. Like they weren't that important, and I think that really helps a lot, especially going out of state, because like most people don't expect that. I feel like when the Europeans come here, like suddenly like they have everyone in America like screaming against them. Like I like that's I mean that's how it goes sometimes. It sucks, but like it is sort of a skill to be able to block that out in a sense. Just kind of like focus on the match. Just kind of like either like let the people trash talking for you hype you up, or either just block everything out. Because second you like respond to somebody, it's gonna, you might think it might make you play better, but in reality you're just like you're just being impatient now because you're mad. It could affect you a lot.
Was on when you were there, there was some like there was like essentially everyone was there at that particular one. That was like his husband, wife, chilling.
Yeah. Crazy Jones, I think, was the Peach player. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was sometimes it's hard to get like a fully like representative crew for like your coast, but I feel like that tournament, like everyone had Like at the time, everyone had their players. They had, you know, Isaiah, Ken, Sastifer. Like those were like the three really good players they had, and then we had just a group of solid players, and like a lot of people like almost unknown. I don't think they really knew much about me. Like, you know, so like I feel like that's a plus going for us.
Yeah.
So it was just cool in that sense, you know, like.
Someone yelled out, "Show him the wall!" This is like, like when you were fighting Isaiah. Do you remember that?
Yeah. I remember, and then like PC for president too, or something. And then Killer says like, this is before Obama. He said like, "Oh, he's not black. That'll work."
PC for president.
Yeah.
Awesome. But was that like, when you were in the moment, like kind of like fighting and stuff? What was going through your mind? Just like.
Honestly, like, it was only the match was going through my mind, because like at that time I didn't want to do anything but focus, because I was so worried about like letting my, you know, coast down. So I really wanted to play like, if I lost, I wanted to say like I tried my best at least. So I definitely heard like most of the stuff I remember is just from watching the video afterwards. I When the match happened, I honestly, like, if there was no videos, I probably couldn't even tell you what happened. And I could say the same thing of some matches that happened at Apex. Like, I mean, I remember that cartwheel only because it was the first one I ever did in my life. But like, that's it.
I've heard that from a few people that, like, KDJ was going on, like, when he was fighting Ken in Orlando, MLG Orlando, like, that was that he didn't remember what happened. He had to see the replay to remember, oh yeah, I did that.
Yeah, you're just, it's so caught up in the moment, and you're thinking like about so many things that like as soon as you're done thinking about it, you like put it in the recycle bin, because you need like that hard drive space for the information you're about to process. This is what it seems like. It's like a weird way of describing it, but it seems like as soon as you're done with something, you kind of like either keep it in the back of your head or toss it out.
Yeah, yeah. And was that awesome to win against West Coast when you guys pulled it out?
Yeah, it was great because, you know, everyone's kind of like, you know, has this anxiety building up before it happens, and like you just you want to make it happen, you want to win, and then once you win, are truly able to enjoy yourself. Like, I don't know if you saw the video, but the whole East Coast like starts dancing for the most part. Like, it's just great because, you know, most of those guys aren't gonna forget about what happened. Like, if you talk to the other guys, they're gonna remember the same thing, even though it was like 6 or 7 years ago. So it just, you know, it's just cool in a like game that's almost strictly 1v1 or 2v2 to come together as like a team and like accomplish something in that sense.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, they're definitely one. I love crew battles. Even like at Apex, we're at a hotel, and like there's just two TVs and like a bunch of people, and I'm like, all right, let's just split up crews and do crew battle, because like that's fun, because it gets everybody involved,
Yeah.
not just like, it won't just be me hogging a TV and somebody else. Like, we can all actively like try to do something fun. So it's just another way to play the game, I guess. One of the many ways.
Yeah. Grab the coins.
Oh yeah, I actually did a coin battle recently versus Tommy Pickles, my friend, and just gonna put this on camera that he got mercilessly slaughtered in that coin battle. He thought he could beat me in a coin battle, but no way.
That's awesome. Did that, after that was done, did that kind of set, like, the East Coast is better than the West Coast? Did that end that?
I mean, you know, the East Coast was definitely like, yeah, we're the best now, but like the West Coast in their heads, you know, wanted a rematch. So I'm not sure what happened after that. I know the East Coast definitely won a majority of the crew battles, but West Coast has also won some. So I want to say the next biggest one was the one we had an East Coast versus West Coast at an MLG, and I don't think there's much information about it, but the messed up part was that Chudat was dating Ken's sister at the time, so he was considered West Coast. So like we had Chudat on the other side, but we still won, and like the East Coast was like very, very happy about that. So like they had Chudat, like, if we won without Chudat, then like we're the best coast. Like, come on.
Yeah, what happened there? I guess she was dating Ken's
Yeah,
sister.
for a while they were an item. I'm not really sure what happened. I'm sure like long distance had to do something with it. Could be the reason why.
Always does. Always does. And so that kind of brings us up to, um, was it the New York opener? I guess where you beat Ken.
Yeah, the MLG 2006 opener.
Yeah, 2006 opener. Um, what kind of set the stage for that? I guess like where you were at that point in your career. Um, what you were thinking going into this, because did you have
Yeah.
any goals set for yourself anymore?
Well, there was a 2005 MLG series that was less covered than the 2006, and the final was in New York, and I actually placed third in that one, and I beat Isaiah twice, which was like very good wins for me, and I lost to only Chudat and Ken, or maybe it was Chudat twice. I'm not sure, but either way, I placed third. They placed above me, so that was like everyone was kind of shocked because that was like a big placing for me at like a national. Like it wasn't just like me playing the Houston players. It was like all the best players in one tournament. And I got third. So that's how it ended in 2005, and 2006 opened up in New York too. So my goal was to place top three again. That's what I set because I knew it was going to be bigger. So I didn't want to be like, oh, I'm going to win, I'm going to win. I wanted to set something realistic. So at first I said I want to place in the money, but then I realized like I got to aim for that top three because that's where the money really is. And the way that the tournament panned out was I just I was winning the matches I felt I should win, and then like eventually came like the opponents that like I wasn't sure like chewed at like where it'd be close, and I ended up beating Chew to have to fight Ken in the finals, and I actually never fought. I don't think I fought Ken up until this point in tournament at least. So that was my first time playing him in tournament, and which could explain why I won and why he like the next tournament countered me pretty hardly. But I just remember once I getting to grand finals, just wanting just to play like really really aggressive because I felt like he at the time like my even though like if you look back at the videos now they almost look embarrassing to watch, but at my time I felt like I was playing
Sorry, one sec. We are done with this
tape.
this tape.
Awesome.
It's either the tape or the battery that will always stop the.
Grand finals or winners finals, I knew I like if it came down to just like me versus him, I know he was a better player at the time, but like I knew I could win if I like just put pressure on him because my philosophy is like if you put pressure on anybody they're gonna crack eventually, like as long as it's like perfect pressure they'll mess up before you do, even though like what you're doing is harder maybe, but as long as like you apply it correctly I feel like you can force like any good player to do something they don't want to do. So that was my strategy going in, just like being relentless with my laser approaching and like my nair approaching and just always keeping him on the defensive because from what I've seen he was always like dictating the match with Marth, like making sure the other person was always trying to catch their ground and recover and just like get away from him. So and that just seemed to work. Not that like I won every match obviously, but I seemed to get him caught off guard, and he did a lot of things that he normally just never seemed to do. Like it seemed like he was almost people are saying he was playing bad, but like I know why he was playing bad because he was forced like out of his element. Like a lot of people do that, just natural. So I just tried to I did that winners final and I ended up winning. So when it came back to the reset, and we had to do grand finals. I just had to beat him, I think, three matches, and he had to win like four, I think, because I won winners finals 3-2. So I was one game ahead of him. So I just knew like if I don't want to. Most people there I think would go for like a strategy like okay like let me just play safe and just like try to grind out these wins before he gets them. But I was just gonna stick to my same strategy, like just keep bringing the pressure because it was working. Like don't if it's broken don't fix it, man. Like it keeps working. So I kept doing it, and I think it came down to the last match, and he ended up in the set, he started noticing on certain stages his Marth just couldn't even do it. He'd switch to Fox. So like that was a shock to me because I did not expect the Fox coming, and that makes it a whole new ball game because like suddenly like you're dealing with a character that's a little slower and you can dictate the match easier. And now you're dealing like with one of the fastest character and he's running around. But like luckily like I would really like fighting Fox, so it wasn't too overwhelming for me. I was able to get like the last W, so then I end up winning, which I couldn't believe it. Like especially in front of like everybody, like all my New York homies had my back. Like I remember being so shocked when like an MLG guy came with like directly with like a microphone and a camera, and like I was not expecting this. And he's like, "You have anything to say to your fans out there?" And I'm like thinking to myself like, I have no fans. And then I'm like, "No, not really. I don't know what to say right now. I'm sorry." And he's like, "It's okay, man. Enjoy it." And it was cool because like the MLG kind of like catered to the players a little bit more. It was like a little bit of a bigger deal when you won. Like there was cameras going off. Like when I won like MLG Vegas, they handed me a bouquet of Slim Jims as well as like the checks. So like it was nice back then, and it was definitely something like that I'm never gonna forget for the rest of my life. Like that's when I knew like from there on like this is gonna be something that's a big part of my life. Like whether I want to do it or not. Like now I'm like I'm signed in for the ride.
That is awesome. Bouquet of Slim Jims.
Yeah, I know it's so appropriate for like a gaming tournament.
Dude, so and building up to that, I mean, you're like the whole crowd was behind you, like your DA boys were.
Yeah,
cheering for
yeah. Wes and the whole DA, like always had my back, cheering for me. Trash talking when they needed to, and like all the other New York people. I mean, I like to think that like I was almost an inspiration for people trying to get better in New York, because like I almost, I didn't even live in the city. I came from outside, and just like like people say like, "Oh, why he did it? Like, why can't I do it?" And like eventually people in New York got better than me. Not saying that I inspired like J-Man and Hacks, but like I don't know. I like to think of it as like a little revolution in New York Smash itself, where like we turned a page on something old, and now we moved on to bigger and better things, winning like a national versus like the best player. Like I was the first person to do that. Me and Wes also placed really well in teams. We beat Ken and Isaiah's set there, but then we lost in grand finals. But I think we might have been like the second team to do that ever at the time, and like teams wasn't not something I considered my forte at the time. So like that was definitely a big deal. I was proud of that, and just I don't know. I like to think of New York as the best Smash place in general. We might not have the best player, but like when we add up everything we have and how close of proximity it all is, like we just have like an insane amount of like talent that is willing to practice like at any time, and you just can't get that anywhere else. So I like to think that I'm a little part of that, hopefully. I mean, I know Wes and the DA guys before were definitely like my inspiration, so I'm hoping like it's a little bit like that for the people coming up now trying to get better.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Was that? I mean, I know you weren't expecting to beat Ken.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you can take a water break if you want to. I think your water's in there.
Where is it?
Is that it?
Oh no, it's fine. I just need some. I think I left it in the kitchen.
Here. Yeah. Epic thing to have to throw, because up to this point, like Ken was the king.
Yeah, I feel like nowadays like there's dominant players, but no one was as dominant as Ken in his time. Like he just did not lose, simple as that. And like when he did, it was only to Isaiah. I felt like, so I didn't expect it to happen, but I didn't think it was not possible at the same time, like I try to keep like a realistic thing, like I'm just gonna, give this guy hell, see if he can deal with the Falco. Hopefully I end up on top, and somehow I did, and I mean like I said, it changed my life, like that day, and I remember immediately, I think the first person I called was my mom.
What did she say?
She's just happy. I mean, I think as a mom, you like to see your son or daughter just have a hobby that they're at least enjoying. And with Smash, I was definitely having a lot of fun. And especially like beating Ken, winning money, it was very nice.
Yeah. Did you was that how big was the pot on that one?
I think first place was $2,000 because it was just they had like 5 normal tournaments, like regional tournaments, like one in New York, one in Florida, one in Chicago, one in Texas, and then one in Cali. And then they had a playoff, and then in New York, and then a final in Las Vegas, and that was like the 2006 lineup. So all the regional ones were $2,000 for first place. I don't remember how the rest went. It was probably something like 1,000, and the third was like 500, something like that. There might have been payouts for even above that. I can't really recall.
Yeah.
But for New York playoffs, first place was $5,000, and for the finals in Vegas it was $10,000. So those were the big ones, and I placed second in New York and first in Vegas.
Nice.
So definitely took advantage of that situation.
And the very next, you'd won this, you dethroned Ken, kind of threw the whole melee thing into like, oh, Ken, who's this PC guy? Da, 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 da.
Yeah.
Then came Anaheim, or sorry, not Anaheim, Dallas.
Yes.
And that was where he had Whitefit, like in his commentary of the match, mentioned that Ken had been really practicing his Falco. He also mentioned that you didn't own a GameCube.
Yeah, I mean, I did. It broke, and I just didn't bother to replace it. Yeah. And at this point, like, when I went to go play, I'd just show up at somebody's house, and they'd have a GameCube. Yeah. So, like, I basically didn't have a game. Like, I got a GameCube, it broke, and I didn't buy another one until I started holding more Smash Fest in, like, 2007. And now I have 2 GameCubes. Upgraded.
One on top of the other.
I actually recently bought a Panasonic Q, too, if you know what that is. Yeah. It's a GameCube released in Japan, kind of licensed by Panasonic, but official Nintendo product. Plays DVDs, MP3s. It has like a weird screen. It's weird. I'll show you a picture of it later.
Yeah, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. From no GameCube to a Panasonic Q. Story PC Chris.
Yeah, that's fucking awesome. Do you have it here, or is it just
No, actually ordered it from eBay. Like, I won the bid like 4 days ago, so it's
oh shit!
And it's shipping from like Tokyo, so it's gonna take like 2 weeks to get here. Yeah.
Would you kind of go into like talk about Dallas a little bit and how he came back with you at you?
Yeah, going into Dallas, I obviously felt good about what where I stood, because I won the previous tournaments. I did well in the time between at the locals and things, so like by my knowledge I was like, let's go for a repeat, like why not? But like I knew Ken was practicing. I just didn't know like what he was gonna do. So I was like, I mean, I'm just gonna still go with the this aggressive strategy, because his strengths are when he's dictating the match, and when he's like avoiding me, like I could just play my game, and even like if I'm not playing my best, I think I could still beat him, like if I'm playing my game. But when I went to Dallas, he discovered that if I'm just mindlessly approaching him all the time, he can just try to bait it and counter my approach with Marth's counter, and that posed a problem, because now like I went from like a strategy to having to try to adjust in the middle of a set, and I just don't think I was at that level of a player yet where I can like suddenly in an important match like be getting like kind of exposed, as the word I like to use, like exposed for something, and suddenly have to adjust before the set ends. And like I don't think I was at that level at that time. And like I knew what he was doing. Like I could see what's happening. It's happening to me, but telling yourself to avoid it and like telling your hands not to, it's one thing. So he definitely came in with a strategy that was good for what I had going against him, and he won the set rather easily. And I don't remember what I placed in Dallas. I could check the brochure actually.
You did? It's in Dallas? It shows you what...
Yeah, it shows you my placings from every MLG.
Oh, shit.
Dallas, I got third.
Okay.
So, I think I lost to Chu in losers. I'm guessing he got second, so... I mean, that's still not a placing that I was upset with, obviously. It's, can't expect suddenly if you win a tournament to start winning them all. Like, that's just not how it works. Like, you have to earn your victories. And, you know, Ken brought the better game plan, the better mindset that day, and he ended up on top. Like, he outplayed me, he beat me, like, you know, exposed me. So, it was, you know, definitely a downfall after winning New York. Suddenly, like, wow, was it just a fluke? Like, can I really hang with the top players, or am I just going to be that guy who's placing below them? But, like, you know, just having a taste, like, of victory, like, I was just like, nah, like, I have to get good. Like, I need to be on these guys' level, so... Like, I didn't really use the loss as something super discouraging. I used it more as motivation, especially more focusing, like I said, trying to adjust mid-match. That seemed to be my weakness. Like, if there were certain players that just knew my style more. Like, I had trouble against Azen, too, and I feel like he's one of those players that just knows how I play, and he's adjusting to what I'm doing, but, like, I'm not adjusting to what he's doing, and he would just beat me, like, most of the time we played. And I feel like as I got on further my career, that's the one thing I improved on, and it's probably because of Dallas, because that was like one of the bigger things that stood out. Like, because like everyone was like, oh, Ken just figured out this stuff, and like now he's gonna beat PC Chris every time, so like everybody knew about it. So I needed to figure out, you know, something to do about that to make sure like it didn't happen all the time.
When you you know, after kind of dealing with that new strategy that Ken kind of pulled out, and then did you kind of like practice against that, or did you like with more time?
Yeah, I mean, I knew I couldn't be completely like defensive and just like try to avoid the counter, because like I said, he'll be playing his matchup then. Like, he'll be, you know, forcing me to make bad decisions. So it's like the term I like to use is called like hot cold, and I just like to keep my pressure on, and then when I feel like, you know, like my time is done and like I'm getting into a dangerous area, I'll back off, kind of reset the flow of things. That's what I was trying to focus more on going to Anaheim. It was just still not like, just because he's getting away from me, don't always just go after him and approach him. Like, just like give him time. Like, sometimes run up and don't do anything, see what he does. Like, but at the same time, like, sometimes I would just approach him. So like I was just trying to mix things up, just so he couldn't always just be throwing out counter, and if he did, he'd get punished for it, and at least start to think about doing it. Like, all right, well, now if I just counter and miss, I'm like, there's gonna be obviously some like repercussions here. So that's what I was trying to do going into Anaheim, and I liked my strategy. Like, he ended up winning the last game, last match, last stock, and you know, you can't get upset about that. I went from being outplayed in Dallas to, and a lot of people thinking that potentially it was just a fluke win, to like bring him and his home crowd basically to the same situation we were in New York, except like I came out on top. This time he came out on top, you know, in front of his crowd. And I mean, honestly, I had a great time, and that wasn't a tough loss at all. I had some few tough losses, and as close as it was, and people are like, oh man, you got so close. Like, I took that tournament like almost as good as I took New York. Like, even though like I didn't walk home with the win or the money, and like people were still saying, oh, Ken's better than PC, like, but like I knew inside that like I went there and I did what I wanted to do, you know. Like, I want to say like me and Ken battled evenly. Like, he won the set obviously, so he was the winner, but like all those matches were close. Yeah. And there came to a point where I like almost won like 2 in a row, so like, or 3 in a row at one point. So it just, I don't know, it's just interesting to see how players adapt, especially top players. When you're getting at like the highest level of play in the game, it's like a chess match, but like instead of chess pieces, you have all these crazy characters with many more options than chess pieces. So I mean, that's what Melee's all about, basically. Just and I don't know. I just think it's just fun to see how it all came from.
Yeah. With Anaheim, was the, you know, when it got like more and more, like was the kind of pressure building as were you kind of familiar with that territory as it was getting match after match?
Yeah, the thing is, like, when you're like, after Dallas, I was almost like expected to lose again, so I felt like an underdog. So I never felt nervous. I like being the underdog, to be honest, because it's just like, if you lose, people are like, well, that's expected, but if you win, like, oh yeah, like everyone's like cheering. So the underdog's a good place to be. There's a lot less pressure, and unfortunately, the better you get, you're never gonna have that anymore because you're always gonna be the favorite. So I feel like that helped me out, but the pressure itself, the only time like I really was thinking about the pressure was like, okay, now we're at the last match, and like, you know, whatever happened, whoever wins this one is gonna win the tournament. Cause like, you know, even if you have 2 matches left, if you like really mess up on the first match, you can at least be like, okay, well, I'm gonna focus all my energy into this last match. Like, here we go. Like, I just knew going into that match that like I was gonna have to play well, like my best, if I wanted to win. And like I played very well. It was a close match, but you know, yeah, sometimes you can't come out on top, and Ken came out on top that day.
Man, yeah, like it was just, I think that one of the cool things about that match is that you have all these, like, you know, for my sake at least, I have all these great shots of like Ken getting hoisted up and all that shit.
Yeah.
But it just is so tense because you guys are both up there and the lights are on you. You're kind of like were you on a platform or a stage or something?
Yeah, it was like there was a, like, behind us there was almost like a high school basketball like stand kind of thing, like in a gymnasium where like benches, and there was a crowd because it was the finals. And then like there was the Smashers and whoever else wanted to watch were all in the crowd going crazy, and then there was the camera crew, and then there was like a little stage with the TV and the 2 chairs. And so like, yeah, it was before, like, you know, when you played in tournaments, like local tournaments, you're used to playing at like a comic book store, like sandwiched in between, like, you know, like some guy that's 300 pounds and some other guy, and you're like sweaty and you're just doing anything you can just to just stay on the TV and play matches. And then like 2 years later, I'm suddenly on a stage, and it's, you know, you don't get that kind of experience like all the time. Like, at least I don't. Like, I'm not in theater or anything like that, so I'm never on a stage. So like, I just try to make the most of the situation. Like, I don't get those situations often, so like, yeah, I just don't try to let it affect me in any way but positive. Like, kind of like pump me up a little bit rather than get nervous and like worry about it, because like whatever happens is gonna happen. So like, I'm always trying to keep a positive attitude, you know. Nice. Always try to make the best of any situation.
Nice. Well, like this period of time, I guess like kind of late 2006, you were going along doing the you know, locals and stuff like that. Was this kind of describe where you were? Was this point you were looking at Smash as kind of like a
yeah. At the time, I was working at a DSW, Discount Shoe Warehouse, and I was just noticing like, well, I can, you know, instead of like causing my bosses hated me because I would always try to get off for the weekends when there was tournaments, and eventually he's like, this is not gonna fly. Like, you're gonna, you know, need to, you know, stay here, or we're only gonna put you maybe like part time, like for like a, you know, on a Monday or Tuesday, and I don't want to work on a Monday and Tuesday in a shoe store. So eventually, like, I just had to make a decision whether if I was just wanted to keep working and just do the normal life thing, you know, work, school, or if I wanted to try, you know, test this Smash thing out for Ron. And you know, I was at the age I was like, why not? You know, where am I ever gonna get this chance again? I don't know. So it's like I talked it over to my parents, and we seemed to be fine with me, you know, trying to fly all over, trying to make money, as much money as I can. Obviously, like, I would come back home after. I wouldn't just be like staying out like for 3 months at a time. But you know, I would, you know, be hopping from state to state sometimes, and you know, the Smashers would house me, like shout outs to Smash community. We all kind of take care of each other, you know, when someone goes somewhere. But you know, if I was in California, a couple people would house me, and then like, you know, someone would be going up north for like school, and they'd drive me up there, and then I'd hang out with other people. So it was just cool how it worked out. It was just kind of like, you know, a little tour of like the United States, but not from like, you know, a tourist perspective, but you get like the actual real stuff from like the people who live in the towns, and, you know, you get to see all the local spots and stuff like that. And then, honestly, like, I almost feel like that's more important to me than all the money and like the first place titles and championships or whatever you want to call it. Like, at the end of the day, like, everything I learned and experienced and met, like, that's the only thing that matters. Like, the money's gone now, you know, the check sits on the wall, it doesn't do anything. But like the experiences and the friends that I made, they're still, you know, affecting me to this day, whereas the other things don't.
Yeah. That's awesome. It's true, you did. You got to kind of do the couch surfing thing in a way.
Yeah, I think a few smashers have done it, like, definitely, you know, like, more than a few, but, it's fun, you know, sometimes you miss home, and, like, you kind of just, you know, want to be somewhere you're familiar with everything, just waking up on, like, random people's couches and, like, not sure what you're supposed to do every day, because, like, when it gets like that, you're, you know, like, every day, I'm used to having a job. Like, what am I going to do all day? Like, I had so much free time. It was almost bad. It actually was bad. I had so much free time. But, you know, I'm not going to complain because I wish I had more free time now. So, it was a wonderful experience for my life. And if any smashers out there are thinking about doing the whole couch surfing across the United States thing, I'd suggest to do it if you could make it happen, because it's a lot of fun.
Didn't Sean... our forward, he did like his...
Yeah, he actually stayed here a couple days, and he stayed with my friend Tom too. So yeah, he did that. He made it happen. But the sad part is, unfortunately, you have to be pretty well known, pretty good, pretty well liked. Else, you know, who's gonna want to deal with you? It's unfortunate, but I mean, it's also kind of a no-brainer, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. I'm actually gonna go fly out and talk to him about his whole journeyman thing.
Yeah, he's a good one to talk to. I feel like, you know, he's experienced a lot of different experiences. Like, I feel like I always compared myself to him, because.
But what is it like? How does he fight? How does he fight? Like, how do you like him and his fighting style? I
mean, like I said earlier, when I first like picked up Falco, he was the guy I looked to. So. Like, I always have respect for him in that manner. Like, I know, like, where I got my, like, stuff from. So, like, you know, you gotta tip your hat off. But, when it comes down to us playing, like, it's still... I don't even go Falco, I go Fox. So, like, it's just... You know, we've always had tight matches. Like, I know I've been on top for most of them. But, like, me and that guy always used to have, like, a rivalry. And... sometimes friendly, sometimes not, but like, I mean, at the end of the day, we know we both respect each other, we get along, so like, it's all good. Sometimes you get heated in certain tournaments, kind of. I remember there was one tournament where I was teaming with Milktea, and him and Taj were just like constantly like making personal remarks in tournament, like to me and Milktea, Jason. And I was just like, after a while, I'm just like, because Jason's not going to defend himself, so I'm just like, I'm not really, I mean, I do this more now, but back in the day, like, I was really reserved, like, didn't really say much unless, like, I, like, knew what I wanted to say, like, otherwise I just stayed quiet, but, like, I just exploded on him, because, like, at the time, like, when we housed him, too, so I was like, how's this guy, like, doing this to me in a tournament match? So, like, I just, like, threw everything I knew about being a nice guy out the window, and just... be like, I was like, he was just saying like personal remarks, like just like how like Milktea's a nerd, and he's like saying how like yo, you wear tight jeans, what are you, gay, like stupid stuff, and like I just eventually have like damn, how does it feel, you know, I played this game less than you and I've already accomplished way more, and just like things like that in front of the whole crowd. And then like after they heard that, they started to fall apart. I remember like Taj like killed his partner, and like after that happened, they just crumbled. So like for a little while I had some bad blood with them because of that, but we both got past it. Like, you know, we're grown adults, we realized it was the heat of the moment.
Yeah, it's funny how that does, like, it especially if you have someone who's totally trash talking you can get like, especially with personal stuff.
Yeah, that's the one big thing. Like, keep it to the game, or like, I don't know, saying things about like they were saying things about like Meet the King's mom and stuff. It's just like, come on, guys.
Love it. Yeah, but this actually, I guess we're kind of moving into like the end of the year towards Vegas, right? Vegas was the last MLB Vegas. Were you kind of, did you know how big the pot was going to be, or did you have any idea? Like,
yeah, going into the New York and the New York playoffs and the MLG Vegas finals, I knew like there was going to be a lot of money on the line, and actually towards the end of the MLG season I didn't even place very well, so it was all kind of shaken up in my head. I didn't know what was going on. Let's see if I can see these placings. So I started off first in New York, got third at Dallas, second at Anaheim, fifth at Chicago, which was my lowest placing at the time, and then at Orlando I finished 13th, which was the last one before New York. So I didn't know what was going on. I lost to Hugs, which honestly he's always been someone I've struggled versus, and he knows that, and I know that. Even though like I beat him my Marth every time, and he's free, but he would always, definitely, he would take me out in tournaments a bunch of times, and people couldn't understand why. Like I knew why, but like people on the outside are like, how are you beating these people but losing to this guy? And it was just, I just thought about it a lot, and it's just like, it's just the way like certain of my styles counter people, like certain other styles counter mine, and he's just someone I struggled versus, and I happened to lose him at Orlando, and that's how I tried to keep it. Like, I didn't want to say like, oh, I'm not good anymore, like, or I'm not going to be placed in top 3, because like eventually, like, even though I might not believe it, like subconsciously I'm going to be thinking it, and like it's just not a good idea. So I wanted to stay confident. But, getting 13th and 5th after placing, like, in the top 3, it was just kind of weird. So, I mean, I just did the same thing. I just went to the regional, the locals when I could, just practice. And then I also just tried to get a better idea of who I was going versus, because at the playoffs there's less field of players, because the sponsored tournament is not based on, like, player attendance. So there was only, like, 32 people in New York, or maybe even 18 or 16. Yeah, there might have been 16, and then there was 8 in Vegas. So I tried to just narrow it down to matchups that I liked and that I didn't like. And the only 2 people I wanted to avoid was Hugs and Azen. Those are the people I just did not want to have anything to do with. Like, I felt like I'd probably lose to them if I had to fight them. And in New York, it just happened to turn out that the only person I lost to was Azen. He got first, I got second. And so, like, I feel like it's good to do that. Although, like, at a big tournament, like a national, you can't see, like, who you're going to fight, because there's just so many people, like, and there's so many upsets. You can't dictate, like, who's going to win, like, and try to guess who you're going to fight. Like, it's just a bad strategy. But at these MLGs, it was a little more reasonable, because, like, well, like, Hugs is playing Isaiah first round, and Hugs has never beaten Isaiah, so it's safe to say that Isaiah is going to move on. Like, I would do that kind of thing. So that definitely was the one thing I was trying to look for going into those tournaments, are just matchup specifics, like versus people, versus characters, just work on all my matchups. Because, like, as a player, I felt like I had a solid foundation for the game. Like, I didn't feel like people were outplaying me much that often. So I didn't let the 13th place bother me that much, although, a little bit it shook me up. But New York, I did well. Like I said, I got second. And then Vegas, I won. And the way Vegas panned out was I had to beat Azen to advance. And I didn't think I was going to, because I always lose to him. But, like, whatever for the reason that day, I ended up beating him. Whether he was playing bad, not on his A game or whatever, or maybe it was just my day, who knows. But, like, that was a big... Once I won that, I felt really confident, because I beat him pretty convincingly, too. So I really felt that I could go on a run, and the only person I was worried about was Ken. But then Ken didn't make it, so, like, suddenly like I had this weird like, oh wait, I have to now like I'm not the underdog and this guy Korean DJ is gonna be the underdog. So suddenly it was like like role reversal out of nowhere. But I won the winners set 3-0, which put me in like an amazing position because the way those sets worked was if we met again in grand finals, the set carries over, so I would carry over a 3-0 into that, and it basically first to 6. So he had to win 6 games before I won 3. And for like somebody who like at the time was seen as like an underdog compared to me, like it just seemed like hard to do. So I didn't get cocky, but I definitely felt confident. Like I was like, all right, this is my tournament. Like I'm gonna win. I won the first one. I'm gonna end up winning the last one. Ended on a good note. And it got close at times. He forced me. This is where I kind of considered becoming a Fox main, because in the middle of the final set, I switched from Falco to Fox after losing 2 straight matches. It was 4-2 at this point. I won the first one, then lost 2 in a row. So I switched to Fox, and I won the last 2 matches in Fox versus his Fox. So I ended up winning LG Vegas, which itself was going to be like probably a whole nother story. But more importantly for me, I felt like, well, I just switched my character in the biggest tournament ever. Like, people didn't know me for my Fox back then. And, like, it wasn't... Although, like, people were known to counterpick, like, usually the good players had their own, like, specific character that they used. Like, Cheetah had Ice Climbers, Kenna had Marth, like, Isaiah had Captain Falcon. They all had their staple character, so... For me to switch to Fox in the biggest tournament of my career, I felt like, in itself was, like, a great accomplishment, because, like, most people try that, and, like, under that kind of pressure, like if they lose, they're either gonna switch immediately back or like they're gonna try it again, and that's when like somebody could lose a set like that. So I was very proud about that, and then from there on, I just was like, well, I'm just gonna use Fox because I think like I have more room to improve with him than I do with my Falco. And then ever since then, I honestly consider myself a Fox main. People are like, oh, let me see the Falco. I'm like, that Falco's gone. It's long gone.
all Fox these days?
I mean, I play all the characters, like I said. My Falco's still probably, like, my top 3 characters, but the majority of my time is invested into my Fox, and when it comes to tournament, like, 90% of the time I'm picking Fox just because he has that experience now that, like, my other characters don't have.
Yeah. Interesting. That's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's, like, where I considered myself switching from Fox to Falco, or Falco to Fox.
Yeah. What did you do when you won?
Well, I immediately called my mom again. Let her know that I won. Honestly, like, I was filled with such, like, crazy emotions. Like, I don't even know how to explain them, like, in words. It was just, like, this, like, just this feeling of, like, accomplishment. And it was almost like a body high. Like, I just felt great the entire day. And, like, I couldn't believe, like, from this game that I picked up with my friends that I able to accomplish something like this. Like, I didn't see it coming, and like even though like it was unfolding in front of my eyes, I still didn't think it was gonna happen. So I was definitely very excited with myself, and like just like my whole life in general at that moment. I can remember just like going to the airport with the check, and just like everybody asking me like, oh, would you win at the casino? And I explained to them like it was video games, and at the time like esports wasn't blowing up like it is now. So like they were like, that's crazy, you won that much playing a video game? And like bringing it onto the plane was like an experience. And finally the icing on the cake was when my mom picked me up from the airport, because like she didn't know there was a big check. And, like I just like walk out like to the parking lot with this big check. She was definitely excited. But I don't know, like, it really wasn't the money though. It was more about just like the experience that I got at that tournament, and it being just the biggest stage at the time. That's what I cared about. It's always been a placing. I'm a very competitive guy. Like, even though when you first hang out with me, I seem very mellow, but like everybody else, like I don't like to lose. So like I just wanted to you know, like at that time I could call myself the best in the world, I guess, and it could have been like a safe, you know, like not many people would argue if I said that. Whereas like, you know, it's kind of a hard thing to claim that. So like that in itself was like something that I never thought I'd ever do with anything. Like becomes the best in the world at something. Let alone like Smash is a smaller field than most like hobbies or whatever you're trying to pursue. But like at that moment, like it's like, well, you know, these 6 years or 4 years or whatever that I've been playing this game, well, at times the question why I do, well, this is why, like, I did it, like, you know, hard work and dedication pays off, like, literally.
It's like good money.
Yeah, so I honestly just felt really great about, you know, more so just getting something in my life in the sense that like just trying to accomplish something and going out there and doing it. I never wanted to be the best player. That was never my goal. But just like putting my time into something and seeing like these great results was just like, you know, for me at the time, like especially being younger than I am now, was just like life is easy, you know, let me just keep doing this. But you know, fortunately it doesn't work that way. But
did you think about doing it professionally like forever at that point?
Well, I tried to keep like a realistic view because I was just like, you know, is this game gonna be played forever? Probably not. Even though, if you were to look at it right now, you could almost probably say it will be. but no, I never thought I'd do it forever. To be honest, I've always been somebody who's always picking up something new, and I always felt there'd be something that replaced Smash, and then move up.
And back connection.
So yeah, it was I don't know. I just really thought that like eventually something would replace Smash. I wasn't sure what it was, whether it'd be like my career when I'm older or like another hobby. I mean, I just didn't know what it would be. But I mean, here I am like 6 years later, and Smash is still a big part of my life. So I'm in no rush really. You know, whatever comes along, it might take Smash's place, but like, even if it does, like, there's always going to be a small part of me that's always going to, you know, yo, Tom, let's go in the basement. Let me expose that Falco real quick, you know, play a couple matches before we go out to a bar or something. Like, I know it's going to be like that, and I hope I play when I'm older, because I definitely want to just be old playing Melee. Like, that's just a funny image. Like 35, like, playing, like, this really technical fox, like, this 35-year-old guy. Like, I just think that's hilarious.
Hell yeah, man.
Just like these like 18-year-old kids at tournament, I'm just whooping them. Still got it.
Still got it. The old master.
Yeah.
That's, Isaiah said the same thing. He must be playing SSB. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you do it for so long, it's almost like a habit, and it's like a daily part of your life. Not that I play Smash every day, but you know, some way or another, Smash affects me every day. Definitely. Like I talk to somebody who's maybe asking something about Smash, or dealing with something on Facebook about Smash, or going to Smash boards, like, you know, no matter what, like, it's going to be around me, and that's really what brought me back into it after I quit, like, because it was still around me after I quit, and I just noticed myself, like, missing it, and finding reasons to attend things, and whereas, like, when I quit, it was just like, oh, I'm not interested anymore, so who knows what's going to replace it, if something's going to replace it. I'm just, you know, just gonna live my day by day until then, until it comes along.
When did you meet Milktea? Was that around this time?
Oh no, it was earlier. It was before I blew up. Really, it was I think Cataclysm. I met her, which was a tournament in Massachusetts. I think it was Cataclysm 2, and I somehow got introduced to her. I don't really remember how, like friends of a friend, like, oh, PC, this Milktea. So like I talked to her, but I didn't really start talking to her until later in the tournament. And then like I noticed, like, I mean, if you're attending tournaments all the time, you're definitely gonna not be hanging around girls that often. So it was something refreshing for me at the time. And I honestly didn't think anything was gonna come out of it, but like that's how relationships work. And eventually, you know, we started talking more, and then, you know, it just came to the point where we were at that age where we had enough similarities to date, and, like, we're both attending these tournaments, like, why not? And we dated for a year, and it just eventually didn't work out. So it happens, but I mean, we're still friends to this day. She lives in New York now, so probably gonna be hanging out with her when I move to the city. I mean, it's just cool because like someone I met from my past, and even though we dated and broke up, like we're still cool with each other to this day.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's nice.
Well, that's good. That's
Yeah.
good.
It'd kind of be awkward if she hated me, which I thought she did for a while. There was like a 2-year period I just assumed she hated me, so I just didn't talk to her. But like little did I know, like she just thought like the same thing probably. Like we're both avoiding each other.
Did you like when did you come back to talking about each other? Or was there ever like a moment?
It was at a tournament. I think it was pound 4 or 5 or something, like one of those types of tournaments, a big national. She was at, I was at. Like we've always, like we'd see each other, but we just wouldn't go out of each other's way to kind of talk to each other. And then eventually she kind of like asked me why I like avoided her, and I was like, I think you hate me, man. You always look, you want to kill me or something. Just like the like I don't know, just like we never really confronted each other, and eventually we realized like we both don't care about what happened anymore. It's been so long that like let's just be friends anyway, because you're with these people at tournaments, like why not? Like if you enjoy their company, why not be friends with them?
Yeah. Did you guys connect on Smash? Like
what do you mean? Like
did you play each other on
oh
Smash?
yeah, definitely. I definitely played her a lot, and her brother, and I definitely saw a lot of progress with her. But this is really funny. We teamed at so many tournaments while we were dating, and we got so close to winning, but we come up short. The day we break up, we go to a tournament and we win. It's like, that's how you know. That's how you know. But yeah, I felt like, she was interested, so like I was like, let's, while I'm dating her, like let's see how good she can get, and she definitely improved a lot. But eventually I just felt like her priorities were more so with school. She was going into college and stuff like that, so less time for practicing, etc.
Yeah.
Whereas I was just playing Melee, so yeah, that's where that went.
Around this time, I guess it's kind of like after Ken was kind of like getting out of things, or at least he was. I guess Evo 2K.
Mm-hmm.
Last big tournaments that he went to and stuff like that. It was kind of leaving you and Mewtwo King and KDJ as kind of like the top.
Yeah, top players. Yeah, he won Evo, one of his last big tournaments, which is a good way to go out. But yeah, it looked like the stage was set for me, Green DJ, Mewtwo King, and just like anyone else who was hungry enough to get up there. And eventually we just thought it was going to be us, but then like Mango came along, and I remember Hugs talking to me about, like, I went to a California tournament and I was like, yo, who should I watch out for? And he's like, you don't know who he is, but you need to watch out for this guy Mango. Like, he might not beat you, but he's getting good and he's improving so fast. And he's like he's just sick with Jigglypuff, like better than anyone you've ever seen with Jigglypuff. And I'm like, wow, like that's pretty, like, usually when you ask something, they're like, oh, watch out for this guy, blah blah blah. Like he like went out of his way to warn me about Mango, so I was like, this guy must be legit. And like I played him at that California tournament, and he sent me to the losers bracket. So I'm like, okay, you might not lose to him, even though I lost to him. So that was my first time ever playing Mango, I feel like, in singles at least. And he sent me into losers, and I ended up winning. I won the losers finals just to end up losing to Mewtwo King at the end, which sucked. But I ended up, beating Mango in the losers. So like, he was happy because he took me out. I don't think he expected to do that. And then I was happy because I won the losers set, so I still advanced. And then it was kind of like, after that, he just exploded. Like he he was like almost looked unbeatable for a time. Like he was looking almost like Ken-esque, I want to say. Like it looks like he was going to kind of like go through this like reign of terror where he's like winning for like 3 years or 4 years. And it for a while it did look like that, but I mean eventually it's just how things work. Like people catch up, people get better, people fall off. Like, you know, somebody's going to be there to replace your spot. Like as long as people are hungry enough for it. So people want to get better, and it's great to see a international champion now.
Yeah.
I mean, although I want America to be winning, I mean, it's just something new that's never happened, I realize, like an international champion. So, I mean, hopefully that's a little motivation to us, for all the players in America, to try to get better, you know, defend our turf a little bit more. But also, I think he sets a standard for the European players, and they see this guy who, against like all odds, will, you know, against everyone cheering for him, like even though like he's not expected to win, will somehow pull out like a victory. And now he's done it so much that he's just like, even if you hate him or you love him, you know he's the best. So it's just crazy. It's just fun to look at Smash like all the way back, and then even through now, like how much things changed. And like I really think they changed for the better too, because like I look at these players now, and they're very dedicated. Like there's some people like back then, like we didn't really have like this. Like, you know, we had like one guy, Bach, who did some stuff, but like he wasn't around for very long, and just like we wouldn't have people flying from Europe to come to our tournament. But like now, like it just, people devote so much time and effort into getting good in this game that like it really becomes their life. Like they don't think it's crazy to travel like across the country, whereas you tell a normal person that, they're gonna think you're crazy just for traveling for a competition. If they hear you win it, then they'll say, oh well, yeah, that's cool. But like if they hear you're just traveling for tournaments, like it just seems bizarre to some people. And I don't know, I just think the dedication of the people of today's Smash age is crazy, because the game's so old, but there's just new people. Not only is there new people, there's new technology, in the sense that like we're streaming online, like, and it's just, I feel like it could only, like I don't feel like it could ever die like this, to be honest. Like it might not grow like to like a big population of players, but I don't feel like it's ever gonna die, because like there's just too many players everywhere, and then there's somebody like always wanting to at least like watch something. So if you're streaming online, like people are gonna see it, and it just I wish we had streaming like back when we played. Like me and my buddies are starting to stream matches now, and I'm just having so much fun, because like I could just play around with like any character, and like people are watching and commentating, and then like it's not even saved to the hard drive, but it's saved online automatically. So it's just cool. Like you can go back and watch your matches at any time. It makes you kind of improve a lot faster. Whereas like where normally you have to like, I think I did that there, I shouldn't do that anymore. Like now you can actually just like dissect your play like versus your opponent, and it helps a lot. I feel like just watching the last 2 streams I put up of myself, I see how many bad habits I have, where normally like I'm totally oblivious to that, because you know, I'm playing like almost autopilot, all like muscle memory. It's like all embedded into my brain already to do this and that. So like,
yeah,
it's just cool to see it, I guess.
With you know, with that kind of, you know, reflection and stuff, do you look at the game as like, because you're also into a lot of other sports and stuff, right?
What's up?
You're also into a lot of other sports and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Oh, what like sport, I guess, would you say? Because I think we talked about this before, and like tennis came up.
Mm-hmm.
Would you? I mean, is that kind of the way? I don't know if I'm asking this in the right way. I think. No, forget that. Totally dead end. Okay, so we're past Vegas, and
okay.
You're battling M2K and KDJ a lot.
Yeah.
I guess this would be a good time to like, what was your greatest moment? Would you say, like, looking back on it, like, was that the Vegas victory, or?
Honestly, I'd consider the New York one bigger, just cause like I started everything for me, and like
Yeah.
you never forget like where you started from. Whereas like once you're up there, you're dealing with it more a little bit. It wasn't as much of a shock, but like New York totally changed my life.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, like suddenly I knew like this is something I'm gonna be doing for a while, and like got me motivated to get better, and just it's probably definitely my greatest moment, especially being in front of New York. Like I mean I'm not from the city, and so I'm not that true New Yorker, but I definitely love where I'm from, and I represent my city like till I die. New York all day.
I remember what I was going to ask you. Because I'm spotlighting, all the other, like the six other guys, Isaiah, Ozin, M2K, KDJ, Mango, and is that everyone? Yeah.
I think you got everyone.
Yeah.
Sound
And
like-
Cat. So just kind of to get an impression of each one, so like kind of like your impressions of Isaiah, your impressions of Ozin, these guys that some of them like Isaiah, Ozin, and Ken, I guess were kind of established as you were coming up,
Mhm.
and then these other guys like came around like KDJ and
Mhm.
M2K, and then Mango came in later. Well, what are your impressions of Isaiah?
Like as a player, like,
Yeah, just as like a player, like his fighting style, and then also like who he is as a guy.
well, when I first started to improve, like I said, I was watching Ken and Isaiah a lot. Their videos. There's a legendary set. I think it's most 3. Yeah, that changed. Like that was like Smash was moving along like this, and then like people saw that and like that's possible to game. Then like the curve of the game grew. Like people started getting so good so fast, and it's probably all because of that set. Like it was unbelievable. I felt like they were both playing really well, and it was like the first like really hype finals. Like people doing crazy stuff, combos like under like pressure like that. Like no, everyone usually like kind of played scared in finals, just like reserved, and they were just going at it. So watching those, and specifically Isaiah, I just noticed his play style. He just moved so fast and just looked so fun to move around like that. Like to control your character to that limit, especially Captain Falcon. He's one that's hard to control. So looking up to him, I just wanted to. My impressions were that I just wanted to like be as fluid as him in his move style. Like he just seems so natural. Like he thinks it, he does it, and there's no hesitation, and that's one of the things I admired about him the most. I feel like he just goes for something. Like that's always been Isaiah. Like he might go for the triple knee and he might miss you and kill himself, but like the next time he'll get it and it'll be like the most amazing thing ever. And I think that's what everyone loved about Isaiah. Like before, like people even really like were following too much, but like he was always just like trying to do like not playing. He wasn't even like about. He'd be playing honorably in the sense that like he would just be going out of his way to please the crowd with something crazy exciting, like just trying insane things in tournament like that were way ahead of its time. Like now it's kind of standard, I guess, as a Falcon player. But back then, like, we never saw people moving around like that, and everyone used to love watching him. Like, I mean, like, people would just talk about him playing. Like we'd be like, yo, we just talk about Isaiah for like 2 hours. And that seemed to be the case with New York. Like, Ken was known as the best, but we'd always talk about Isaiah. And it was weird how it works. I don't know why, but it was just, he was just like, someone that you wish you could like just manipulate their style, but you can't because that's just Isaiah.
It is so funny too, like watching him and the way he moves. That's another thing that stuck with me is his movement.
Yeah.
The way he just.
Yeah, he's so quick and just like burst of speed everywhere, just running around like out of control. But like at the same time, he has so much control, so it's like it's weird.
Yeah, especially like you said, like Captain Falcon, you need to be very precise.
Yeah, if you run off and fast fall, like you're not gonna recover without like at least your opponent trying to kill you. So there's little room for error in certain situations with Falcon. Like you can't just can't gotta know how to control him properly. I'll just put it that way. Otherwise, you'll be getting into a lot of trouble.
What are your impressions of Isaiah as a guy?
I mean, Isaiah was always. I actually always got along with Isaiah because I felt when I first came along, like I said, I was a little more reserved. I didn't really know what I was dealing with getting into the community, so I didn't know how to express myself. Like I wasn't just gonna pop like out and just like act like me because I wasn't sure if like everyone was just gonna like accept me for who I was. But eventually, like I learned that's how the people in the Smash community are. So, but like Isaiah, he was just very, very goofy, very, very like shy. Like he would say like a couple words, but they'd always be something like that'd make you laugh. And he'd always have like he used to have this guy called Mr. Happy. I don't know if you heard about this. It's just this massage tool that he had. It was just like this weird back massage, and like he'd just be like, "Oh, I brought Mr. Happy," and he'd just like massage your back for a minute. And, like that was just Isaiah. Like people knew that. Like, oh, like yeah, that's Isaiah. Like, but like people loved him for that because it was different. It was unique.
That's awesome. There actually is there's a piece of him doing the Mr. Happy to chillin'.
Awesome.
So,
yeah,
that's perfect that you mentioned that.
Yeah, that's how I remember him. Honestly, that's like Mr. Happy. Like that's how I was first introduced to him. Like he had a Mr. Happy.
That's amazing. I love it. Well, cool. What about Ozin? Also, like the same kind of time. Kind of got the same kind of feel from him, at least in the very brief encounters.
Yeah, Ozin, I feel like I got to hang out with Ozin a lot more than Isaiah just because he lived closer to me, so I'd be hanging out with him more. So, like, after a while, I felt like Ozin, like, was just kind of like me, like, we're both competitive gamers, and we both kind of also have, like, he plays, like, an array of games, and he's good at all of them, like, and then, like, that's his hobby, whereas, like, I play Smash, like I skateboard, like I play baseball, and like I'm pretty good at all of them. Like we do our different things, so I feel like we're similar in that. But he was a little shy at first, but like so was I. So conversation between us didn't happen much, like when we first started to hang out. But then, like as you go through like these years and years of going to Melee tournaments, you realize like certain people have your back when you're out in the West Coast, and like when the Az and Chillin' do like shoot at. Like when with those guys, we'd bond together, like out of state because we were strangers to this foreign land that is California.
That's awesome.
But yeah, we got along fine. Like I said, I don't think I really ever didn't get along with someone besides Chillin' Dude for that little while. I've had like a couple like minor like heated moments with people, but for the most part, like I've gotten along with almost every like professional or non-professional player.
Yeah. Well, what do you think about the title that is given to Ozin, or that he gave to himself?
The Master of Diversity. I mean, I could see why he has that title, but if we're talking just about Melee, then we're talking to the real Master of Diversity right now. I feel like I've put so much time into every character that I have such a I just know how to move around with them when it comes down to like Mewtwo and like those characters. Like I'm really good with them, even they're technical. Like people don't know how to do things with the low tiers. Like I practice them, so like I know how to do them. So like, I mean, it's a self-proclaimed title, so we'll see. One day we're gonna have like the Master of Diversity challenge or something.
Hell yeah! I guess for that time, like. That would count as the Master of Diversity to do what he did with those characters back then.
Yeah, I mean, I remember one tournament he used Mario versus me and beat me, and then like another tournament he went Sheik and lost, and then like another tournament he went Marth and beat me. Like he just, I don't know where he gets off on choosing his characters. I don't know why he picked those on which days, but like it feels like he just plays with everyone, and he's very solid with everyone. He's one of those players who's just completely 100% like all like thinking, and like he has pretty good tech skill, but he relies all of it on just like outplaying the opponent rather than just like comboing them. And unfortunately, I feel like that worked a lot better back in like 2006, 2007, because now you have people who don't mess up tech skills. So it's a little harder for him to do well now. And honestly, I feel like that's why a lot of the older players are struggling, because we were just not as good at the game technically as everyone else is. And like the things we relied on back in the day don't work anymore. Like you can't just like wait for people to roll. Like those things are outdated. So while we're like struggling to catch up, like people are just already creating a new game. So
That's the funny thing, is that metagame.
yeah, I mean it's a term that I like to throw around a lot, the metagame. But I mean, honestly, I didn't think I was gonna come back to Smash when I quit. But like the reason why I came back is because I saw what they were doing with the game. Like I thought, like yeah, like I peaked. I can't learn everything more. Like I got as good as I can get. Like I'll still play when I want to, but like I don't think I'm gonna be competing anymore. And then I saw like the new things they're doing, so instantly hopped right back in, trying to learn everything. And you know, it just makes you think like it's probably gonna happen again and again. Like you think you're gonna learn everything, then suddenly something's gonna come along.
Yeah.
But that's just how it works.
I was playing Ozin, like you mentioned earlier, he kind of like it would evolve during a match to try to figure you out.
Yeah, he like I said, he was like he clearly was one of those players who just tried to outplay you in terms of like thinking, and so he was always constantly like picking up on things in the middle of matches where I'm just almost relying on just like combos and just I don't know. It was like two different fighting styles going against each other, and it's at that time he seemed to come out on top most of the time, and I always considered him like one of my hardest challenges because I just feel like he always has a good plan going in versus me. Like even like later on when he didn't even play as much, and like I was clearly like the better player, and he's just kind of like coming to the tournament just to go, like he'd still like almost beat me, and he just. I mean, I don't know. Like, I have a lot of respect for him because it's one thing to just learn the game in one way, but, like, he seemed to master it in a different way. And in terms of just, like, completely, like, outsmarting and outplaying your opponent, like, no matter who you use, like, like, he might not even be able to control the character to like, make it look like a top-tier character, but, like, he'll just beat you anyway. So, it's just crazy.
Was it the same kind of shoe with Ken, or like he was just like a whole different beast?
Yeah, I mean Ken was. He used a bunch of characters, but he was obviously known for his Marth and a little bit for his Fox. But yeah, like dealing with Ken was when you usually play Marths, they're more of a spacing character. Like they try to bait you in and they dash away and grab you. Like they're always trying to play the space game with you. But like with him, he would just be all over you, and like I just was not used to that. I'm used to like Marth's trying to run away from me. Like what's going on? So that's like the weird part about Ken, that like he's just such an aggro Marth, and he kind of like if you read the book on Marth today, like a lot of things Ken did would probably not be like considered effective now, because like if you're always like approaching with Marth, it's just not good. But back then, like he got away with it just because he was so good at what he was doing, and he just really put so much pressure on you, just like always like running up to you, making you roll, grabbing you, like just baiting you to do things, just because like he'd get you scared, because like a Marth is like intimidating being right next to you. But yeah, his style, I mean, there's a reason why he was like the most dominant Smasher. He was way ahead of his time, and like I wouldn't be surprised if he came back and did well. I don't think he could win, but I mean I hope he proves me wrong. But I wouldn't be surprised if he came back and he caught on pretty quickly.
Yeah. Is how was he as a person? Like
me and Ken got along really well. I mean, when I went to California, I'd hang out with his family, and I mean we got along pretty well. We didn't, even though I was East Coast and he was West Coast, we didn't have that kind of bad blood. Like we'd, leave it on the battlefield, sort of like speak. Like when we're playing a tournament, then yeah, like I'm gonna go on my East Coast side and you'll go on your West Coast side. But like after the tournament, we'd hang out, and like smashers at like the MLGs would always go to like a hotel room, like somebody have a hotel room, and all the players would just hang out, and it was always great to hang out with Ken and like all the players, because especially the ones that I don't get to see often, like Ken and Azen and Isaiah. Hugs is one of my favorite, to be honest.
Yeah.
He's the funny guy.
He's been around for a while, right?
Yeah, he came around kind of when I came around, maybe a little bit later. I remember him being at an East Coast tournament called GS2, I think it was called, Getting Schooled 2. It was hosted by husband, wife, and all of them. And he came there from California, and he was unknown back then. He didn't necessarily do great at the tournament, but like for being an unknown, he did very well. So he kind of only got better from there. And he didn't. He's done a lot of things with Smash. I don't think he's ever won like a national though. Yeah. But I mean, he plays Samus, so there you go.
Yeah, it's amazing, what these Samus players can do.
Yeah, I mean, Plup now. Have you seen that guy? Yeah, he's looking like he can actually win a tournament with Samus. That's looking scary.
The game is still changing.
I know. See, like, wasn't Taj's Mewtwo in like the grand finals versus Armada? Like, my friends are like, "How's Mewtwo in this finals, Chris? What is going on with this game?" And I was like, "I don't know, man. Don't ask me."
Unbelievable. Yeah, real quickly with the other guys too. Mewtwo King.
Yeah, me and Mewtwo King go pretty far back because he lived in New Jersey, so we would see each other at like the New York, New Jersey locals. And like I said, when he first started playing, he had a very robotic style. He only played by himself versus computer, so he wasn't really exposed to like just normal like play styles, like a thinking opponent like who adapts and like tries to like read you. He's not used to that, so he struggled at first in the community, like playing wise. But I mean, he honestly back then all he cared about was Melee. It was all Smash. So like any relationship I had with him was only involved playing video games, unfortunately. And as time went on, like he realized like he can't just only can't only play Smash. So he eventually he started hanging out with us. We actually like got him to drink when he was like I don't think he ever would have drank ever. And like I don't know, we just talk just to hang out, not play Smash, not talk about Smash, stuff like that. And I mean now like he just seems like almost like a normal guy. Like it's just crazy because if you look at him like 7 years ago, he's a completely different person. But that could be said for a lot of us. So I'm not trying to put the spotlight on Mewtwo King or anything.
Yeah.
But I mean I've always got along with him. Like I have some funny stories that like. One time we went to a Massachusetts tournament, and I'm almost positive he just didn't understand the concept of paying for something in a store. So he walked into like a gas station and just took like a Mountain Dew and left. It's either that or he was too embarrassed to tell me that I caught him stealing. I don't know which one it was, but yeah, he walked out with the Mountain Dew, and like the guy saw him, and I was like, yeah, I'll just pay for that. But like that's, he was so young, and he was just basically grew up around playing video games and like into this culture. Now he's trying to interact with people, like so. I mean, he's gone a long way. Like now, like he's just like a normal, like just everyday you and me type of person. So it's good. I feel like the Smash community kind of helped him a little bit. In terms of like if he was playing an online game, he might still be the same. Like he might not have that, communication like when you're talking, developing real relationships. Like that definitely helps out. Like he's gotten plenty of friends from Smash that helped him like kind of mold him to the person he is now, the real Mewtwo King.
Yeah, it definitely seems like he's definitely a peculiar kind of guy in some ways.
In some ways, yes, he's interesting.
Yeah,
he's very interesting. But yeah, back when he first started, there would almost be like he almost needed kind of like a babysitter, I want to say. Like, I don't want to use that term, but like he'll be probably the first one to agree with me. He'd have like somebody watching out after him. But now, like, you know, he does his own thing, and like he's just, I like to think that the Smash community helped somewhat in part of that.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
I think it does that for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Just having
I
that.
mean, me too. I mean, like I said, I was shy as hell when I first came along, and now like I don't really shut up sometimes. So
Well, that's good for interviews.
yeah.
With Korean DJ, like he's definitely kind of more on the, not, I would say, well, yeah, kind of gregarious.
Yeah.
At least when I talk to him.
Yeah, with KDJ, I didn't, you know, when we first came along, he didn't look like somebody who like really into games. Like he just looked like the guy with the tag Korean DJ. Like I assumed he was into music, so I think that's the first thing we talked about. I learned that he played like violin, and then he's making like these beats, and I was like, oh, that's cool. And it's cool to see somebody have like hobbies outside of Smash, because I mean, it's just interesting because I don't know. I myself am not only into Smash, you know, like I said earlier. So I felt like me and KDJ instantly got along. And when he first came along, he wasn't very good, and he would do very poorly versus me. And then I remember him coming like 2 weeks later and suddenly beating me, like, and that's just like the type of guy he is. Like he's just gets good at something so fast if he really wants it, because he'll put in the time to get good at it. And like I really respect that. And I mean, I feel like I have a lot of rivals, but me and Korean DJ are another rivalry, because like New York versus Boston, we got that going on. But like he's definitely like one person that like we kind of like have a respected rivalry with. Like we both respect each other. We both like we played in the MLG finals, so like I was like, he was the huge underdog at that one, but like I myself didn't expect to be in the finals. So like I feel like, you know, we're these two new guys from the East Coast, kind of like setting the pace for everybody. So I felt like we kind of got along really well for that reason, because like, you know, he was doing his Boston thing, I was doing my New York thing, and you know, it turns out like we both had the same goals though. And he would come down here often, and then for the New York tournaments, and then when they had Mass Madnesses or Connecticut tournaments, I'd go up for them. And so we'd be playing each other often. I hung out with him the most out of any of the other professional players, and definitely had a great time hanging out with him. He's a good guy. Nothing but good things to say about KDJ.
Yeah, he said he had awesome times like coming in, crashing at your place.
Oh yeah, we've had some fun.
Yeah. He said that you, the only time that he ever had any beef with you was when you accidentally deleted some some matches between you two where like he was winning.
Oh yeah, no, I only posted the one of me winning.
That's right.
But yeah, same concept. Yeah, that was a long time ago. It was just like, it was camera, like a phone camera.
Yeah.
That recorded it, and this was a while ago, so the quality itself wasn't even great. And my like, I was like, I'm just gonna put up the match I won because I want to see it, and that's it. I apologize.
Sorry, Katie.
Yeah, I'm sure he doesn't care now.
With regards to, I think that covered everybody except Mango, which you talked a little bit about him before. His playstyle kind of reminded you of Ken, I guess.
Yeah, it reminded me of Ken's, just because when you think of Jigglypuff, you're not necessarily thinking about somebody who's like trying to go after you. You think of somebody who's like just spacing aerials and like playing defensively and trying to be safe. But just like Ken, he was like playing like against the book, like being the aggressor with a character that we at the time we thought like shouldn't be doing that. And yeah, that's why he really reminded me of Ken, just because like he was constantly putting pressure on you with Jigglypuff, like kind of like this little pink character that usually is pretty slow and sluggish, just suddenly like, you know, dictating the match versus my Fox, and it was just like, I don't know. in that sense alone, it can remind me of Ken. Like almost like a flashback, just a different character.
Unbelievable. What is he like? I know he's got a reputation as a drinking, partying kind of guy.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely get along. We got a lot of common interests. He's a lot of fun. He's more of one of the better like socially adept smashers in the sense that like you can go out with him anywhere and it's not like, oh, I'm hanging out with like a video game champion. It's just like, oh, I'm hanging out with Mango and we're just kicking it. But like he's really cool like that, and he's also very young, so like it's very like energetic. Like he's always got something smart to say, whether it be good or bad. He's always making somebody laugh. But yeah, I mean, I've always had a pretty good relationship with Mango. I mean, I remember he used to like come up to me saying like him and his friend Joey are like looked up to me, and then like 2 weeks later they're beating me. So it's always good to hear that and then lose to him. But I mean, it's nice to know that like these players come up like sometimes like looking up to me, and like if that inspires them enough to the point that they want to get good, then like I mean, it just makes me think like, well, why don't I just like inspire myself to get good or something like that. So it's just cool to see it that way, in the sense that like even though they're basically better than me at the point, like at the time Mango said this to me, it was questionable if I was even better than him, and he was saying how he looks up to me. So it was just almost inspiration for me at the time, I guess.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, it's just I feel like the Smashers like from Generation like will try to pass something down, like Wes passed something down to me. Like I don't know what Mango or these other guys get from me, but I hope it's something good. I hope I pass something good down.
Awesome. Trying to think now, because we've covered a lot. We've covered your Smash career essentially. Is there anything else that that sticks out in your mind that I'm missing? Like good, cool, hilarious, funny stories that or need to be shown to the light of day.
We got the whole man sauce thing.
We got the man sauce.
Yeah.
That is in the bag.
It's immediately the first thing that comes to mind.
I like the name Mr. Happy. That's a great little tale there about Isaiah.
Yeah, that's so good. Trying to think. I mean, I would have so many stories, but none are sticking more out than the other, really. Yeah. Just one tournament that's less known that I went to was a one in Hawaii. Kind of went there as a vacation, and not that many people went there because there's Hawaii. I think I was probably one of the few out-of-staters there, and honestly, that was a great tournament. Like the experience and everything. Like I went to Honolulu, flew out there, got picked up by some Smashers who just were excited to play me, and were like very excited that I was coming to Hawaii. But, like, I'm excited to go to Hawaii. Like, thank you. Like, of course, like I'm gonna do that. And I ended up having an amazing time. I spent it like a week in Hawaii. I think I tried to learn how to surf. I woke up really early in the morning, and my friend had one of his friends try to teach me how to surf, and it was my first time ever trying to surf. And like the competitive, stubborn person I am, like it just took me so long to at least catch a wave and like start to like ride on the board, and then like the next day was trying to learn how to get up. And like at the time I was like, why am I doing this? But like at the end of the day, it was so fun, and like being able to at least stand up for a couple seconds was like totally worth like 10 hours in the water. Yeah, so I went surfing, like tried all these new food, like all these exotic like foods that I've never even like heard of and stuff in Hawaii, and just like the scenery there. Just like I live in New York, and then suddenly like I'm just walking, and there's like, I don't know, like there's like a cliff with like a 30-foot drop, and then there's like beautiful water down there, and just things like that you just don't see every day. And like while I'm there, like there's also a tournament, and like I win the tournament, so I'm like paying for my trip, and it was just honestly the best time of my life probably. Like I really enjoyed myself, everyone in Hawaii. I mean, shout outs to all of them. They made me feel like a king. They didn't need to, but they did. I had a great time. They were all kind. Hopefully I can go back someday. Maybe on a honeymoon or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, that I got the same. I've only been to Hawaii once myself, and that it was just like the most amazing place.
I know, right? But then you like talk to the people who live there, but they don't think of it that way. It's just like, man, just don't move to New York, man. if you think this is like, if you need to get out of here, then
yeah. That's true. That's an awesome story. I'm gonna shoot that menu so when you're talking about those exotic foods, we'll see.
Yeah.
Things that says gizzard.
Yeah. I don't even know like what I was thinking, like it could be a gizzard from anything. Like what type of gizzard is this? But I didn't ask. I just ate.
Was it good?
It tasted fine. It's just the texture was so odd. Like it was just like you knew you weren't eating something normal that you normally eat, and it was just like very like chewy. So I had to get past that, but it tasted fine.
Yeah.
Winning the tournament that night helped everything taste a little bit better. Everything went down a little bit smoother.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I had a great time out there. And honestly, I think about it a lot, more than I should have. I remember at one point I was considering going to college out there because I wanted to go back.
That's awesome.
And I was thinking about like, well, when I get my associates, maybe I'll transfer to a university out there. But like, then you realize how much work is behind all that. And
Yeah.
as fun as it would be, and I just don't think I can, make that kind of commitment moving all the way to Hawaii.
Yeah, no. It's definitely its own kind of, like, mental space, though.
Yeah. It's an island.
Yeah. It is, definitely. Gotta be an island type of person.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely not.
Yeah. Trying to think. That's an awesome story. Are there any other, like, moments like that, or?
Trying to think. I mean, like, they just showed me around to a lot of different places. We went to I don't even remember what type of beach it was called, but we went to this place where they had this famous shaved ice, Matsumoto's shaved ice, I think it was called. And apparently I didn't even know it was famous, and I had it there, and then, like, it was, like, amazing, but I didn't think anything of it, because I'm just like, well, everything's amazing here. Like, I'm just having a great time. And then, like, a year later, I just watching the news, and it's on the news, and I'm just like, oh my god, I was there. So, like, that was cool. There's just, like, a lot of little things. Like, they brought me around, just because everything's a little different, like, they brought me around to, like, the malls, things like that. Like, different types of beaches, just, the greatest time was, we bought, like, just a bunch of, like, beers. We went out to the beach. There was, like, a guy with, like, a guitar, a ukulele, like, a bunch of, like, the Smash friends invited all their friends, and then, like, I basically just hung out with them, and they really made me feel like I was part of the group, even though, like, I really felt like I was an outsider, like, I was this pale guy, like, who just, like, clearly not from Hawaii, but, like, they really made an effort to make me feel like a part of the group, and they did, and I had a great time because of that.
Nice.
Just, like, being on the beach, got the beers, got some food, got some music, got some friends. It really doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah, it makes me want to go to Hawaii.
Let's go.
Right now. Well, cool, man. Well, we can stop it here. I feel like we got, like, the meat, so to speak.
Yeah.
Of a lot of that stuff.
And anything we forget, we can, like, always go back and
do
do.
pick-up interviews, like, tonight, and just, like, when you're at the party, or any of these guys come up with stories and stuff.
Yeah, that'll be great.
Yeah.
Honestly, they'll have some funny stuff to say.
The uncensored PC, Chris. Well, do you wanna we can grab that